Welcome to our webinar today. It is Debbie DeGroat here. We have a fun topic. It's a little bit lighter, just some cool things that I'm always been kind of fascinated with in my real estate career. So we called it Classic Closes. And I know in the marketing we said that I would share some of the things that you never want to say when you're trying to help your client move forward to buy that home that they love or to solve that big negotiation. So we will talk a little bit about that. But if you would do me a favor, just go ahead and type your name in the chat box, just a quick hello. That would be great to start us off. I like to see who's with us, where you're from, and then also it tells me that you can hear me loud and clear. And please feel free to type your questions in the chat box as we go, and we will circle back and talk about them. But you know, to start us out, I was thinking about something today, and I was thinking about in decades past, and some of you have been in the business a long time, like I have, you've been in the business a long time, you know what I mean. In decades past, I feel like the real estate scripts and the approaches to closing customers were kind of salesy and a little rough and harsh. And maybe that consumer group 30, 40 years ago responded to it fine. But when you think about today's consumer, not just in real estate, just in general, all of the information that they have access to, how much research they do when they go online before they even meet with you, and whether they do or not, they kind of think they know it all. So today's savvy consumer, they will not buy into those decade-old scripts. And quite frankly, some of them are kind of slimy, and you might not even feel comfortable using them. So I want you to know that is not what today is about, because here at Forward Coaching, we really believe that we've got to meet our clients and customers where they're at. We have to look at their unique problems and situations. And I actually have a favorite affirmation, just as kind of been mine. I made it up many years ago. My job as a great salesperson is to help people overcome their fear and hesitation to achieve their real estate dream. See, I don't want to say I force people to buy houses, right? So sometimes I find that salespeople carry a little bit of baggage when you start talking about scripts or closes, because they're like, ooh, I don't want to be pushy. And you know what, guys? I don't want you to be pushy ever. I want you to use some classic, timeless techniques that have withstood the test of time because they actually work. And they work because they help people overcome the fear and hesitation to achieve their goal. Now, in terms of things not to do, let's talk about that. And then we're going to jump into the closes. We don't want to be arrogant or condescending, right? We do want to move people forward by sparking legitimate urgency if it's appropriate for them. So, for example, if someone could not afford to buy a home, why would you be trying to spark urgency to get them to do it now before they could even afford it? We would not do that, right? And quite frankly, your own mom who loves you is not going to buy a house from you unless she actually wanted to buy a house. So this is not to force people, manipulate people into doing things they don't want to do. It's timeless because it helps them break through those barriers. They're really just a framework to help people overcome their fear and hesitation to achieve their real estate goals and dreams. So we got to remember, people make decisions based on emotion, and then they look to justify it with logic. So what these classic closes do is it helps them find logical reasons to work through their fears. So I'm going to give you an example. Have you guys ever done this? Like, I know I have in my career done this, where I'm telling myself that it's time for a new car, and I'm telling myself that I have to go just a little bit more upgraded in my choice because I want my clients to see, ooh, this is a professional real estate agent. They must be successful. They must know what they're doing because they have a decent car that looks professional. Now, does that really matter that much with the buyers and sellers? Maybe to a small degree. But what was that really more about? That was really more about I emotionally wanted that car, and then I was looking for logical reasons to justify. So even your most analytical buyer or seller, it doesn't change the fact that what sparks them, what spurs them is emotion. And classic timeless closes simply help them achieve the logic, the reasons to justify what they really want to do and to work through their fears. Then we should realize that in any closing moment, any closing situation, you're probably going to need more than one technique, or if you prefer the word strategy or approach, because it's a puzzle, right? We're working them through to the ultimate outcome, which is them making the right decision. Now, in this case, the right decision might be not to buy the home or not to list with you. I hope it is. And yet, in making that right decision, we're trying to kick into gear the logic to really examine it, because emotion can be harmful. I'll give you an example. They're excited about a property, but they make a lower than full price offer, and they get caught up in the emotion of trying to grind the best deal, and they lose sight of the reality that is a great home, kind of irreplaceable based on what they want. And if they save a few $1,000s today, but they don't get the home they love, they're going to be sad later. But see, they got caught up in that emotion that kind of screwed them up from making the right decision. So we want to take them through the logic. So one of the classic closes, maybe you guys have heard of this before, they call it the Ben Franklin close. I read once they call it that because it was a popular, I guess I would say, exercise that Ben Franklin used for himself when he was making an important decision. It's the pros and the cons. So if you want to call it pros and cons, perfect. So here's how I would do this. So let's say that Winston has looked at a home, and he's from Tennessee Valley, which is gorgeous, by the way. Winston has looked at a home and he really likes it, but he's nervous and he's stuck. And we all know that no home that we might show a buyer is going to be 100% perfect, right? There's always something that they wish it had that it doesn't. So let's say that Winston really likes this home. It checks most of the boxes, but he's like, I don't know. Gosh, I've only been looking for a couple of weeks. I don't know, maybe I just should pass and keep looking. Now, if I'm coming from a heart of integrity and concern for Winston, and because I know the market and I know this is a great property, I need to do my best to make sure Winston doesn't make a mistake. And I would say that. I'd say, Winston, I will respect whatever decision you choose to make. And if you want to pass on this property, I'm good with that. You know, though, Winston, as your representative, one of the things I'm committed to is helping you understand the market and the facts about the market and to help you reason it through. So let's do this. Before we walk away from this property, I'm going to grab a piece of paper and let's draw a line down the middle. And Winston, I'm going to put con on this first column. I want you to tell me all the negative thoughts or feelings that you have about this property. So just go ahead, give it to me. I'm going to write it down. And Winston says, well, the master bedroom's a little small. Okay, let me write that down. I was kind of hoping for a house on the cul-de-sac. I mean, it's a quiet street, but I was kind of hoping for a house on the cul-de-sac. Okay, let me write that down. Well, I don't really like the green paint on the exterior. Okay, let me write that down. Well, the backyard needs a little work. All right, I got it. Anything else, Winston? No, I guess that's about it. Now, guys, I'm not going to start adding my own thoughts or opinions to the con list. It's not appropriate. My thoughts and opinions don't matter. Only Winston's thoughts and opinion matter. Then I'm going to say, now let's look at the pros. And I may have to help him a little bit. So you told me that you love this neighborhood. It's your number one choice. Is that still the case? Great. Let me write that down. How'd you feel about the floor plan? Oh, no, I loved it. Overall, I really liked it. Okay, I'll make a note of that. What about the square footage? Because I know it's a little bigger than you thought you might be able to afford. Oh, yeah, the extra square footage. It's awesome. Okay, let me write that down. So I'm prompting him. I'm helping him think it through. If it is the right property, it should be this many pros and this many cons, right? Because guys, if the pro list is shorter than the con list, it's not the right house for Winston. So you see, this is not a gimmick. This is taking a piece of paper, helping him think it through logically. So at the end, he can say, wow, 4 negative things. And I go, Winston, would you agree? Those are relatively small. I mean, a few feet in the master bedroom isn't a huge problem. Well, no, not really. A little paint, a little yard work, would that be doable? Well, yeah, absolutely. And the cul-de-sac, would you be able to give that up if everything else is great? Yeah, I can give it up. And then let's take a look at the 21 positive things that you love. You know, Winston, I kind of think the choice is pretty clear. Wouldn't you agree, based on this? We probably should move forward and start the negotiations. See, I use a lot of we and us because I want them to feel I am on their team, I'm on their side, which I am. I soften my tonality. I don't want to come across as aggressive or pushy. And I'm going to the logic. I know he loves it. The emotion is clear. But now I helped him justify logically, this is a clear choice. and it does make sense. You notice I didn't say make an offer. You can say that if you want to, totally up to you. I just like to use start the negotiations only because it sounds like a little gentler step. So you draw that line down the middle of the page. And by the way, we're going to send you guys a copy of this recording. You'll get it by tomorrow. Help your customer list all the pros and cons of the actions that you're taking, the choice that you're discussing. And on the con side, you don't help them. You let them run with that on their own, right? Okay, so now the summary close. This one works really well with a very analytical client. It's actually great for all, but it works really well for an analytical client. See, in this technique, you summarize with them, for them, what are all of the benefits of taking the action that they need to take. Be specific and make it exciting. You know, Mrs. Buyer, I'm so excited that we had the opportunity to view this home because, as you already know, based on the price, it's right within your budget. It's the right school district. It's in move-in condition as you preferred. Clearly, you love the floor plan. Now, you might have 3 benefits, 5 benefits, you might have 10. But you see, I'm summarizing the benefits. Now, you could also use this on a listing. Mr. Seller, I'm sure that now that you've got a chance to get to know me, you've reviewed my material, you can see why I could potentially be the clear choice to list your home and get it sold for you at the highest realistic price. Number one, I have the track record and years of experience to know how to handle today's challenging marketing situations. Number two, you've reviewed my very thorough marketing strategy. Number three, I have an enormous database of prospects that I nurture ongoing. I might even be your buyer supplier. And then also strong communication plan so you know at any given moment what is happening and are able to make appropriate decisions. So based on that, here's what we should do next. We simply sign this very standard listing agreement and I get to work for you. I turn it around, point to where they need to sign, I hand them the pen. Very calm. Okay. The takeaway close. The takeaway close is a psychological technique that involves suggesting that perhaps the action isn't right for them. And this might actually spark them to realize that they don't want to lose this opportunity. I want to give you guys one that's a little bit different than you might be expecting. I want to give you the fire the client takeaway. You know, there are going to be times where you have a buyer or a seller, they're so demanding or they're so unreasonable to deal with, or they're making such poor choices consistently that they're blowing and destroying their opportunity. So let's take the example. Let's pretend that Dan is my buyer and I've educated Dan. Let's assume I've done everything right. I've educated him. I have him pre-approved. We have seen 50 houses. We've seen a lot of property. And every time we find one that Dan likes, he makes a very low offer against my guidance and loses it. And then he's sad that he lost it, but he does it again and again. Well, honestly, guys, at about the third time of that, I'm probably going to use my takeaway on Dan. You know, Dan, I like you, and I really want to help you. I wanted to help you. And yet, Dan, what I can see by how we've worked together, the type of offers that you make, and the fact that you really don't listen to my advice, and therefore you lose home after home. You know, Dan, I really would rather turn you down now than let you down later. So, what I want to do is release you from our agreement to work together, because I believe that unless we change how we approach this, it won't be successful. So either we find a better way to analyze and make stronger offers, or I'm going to have to let you go and no longer be your agent and wish you the best. So I'm taking myself away, right, from the equation. What's interesting about this one, they know we're obviously commission-based people, so they would think we want every client we could get our hands on. And the fact that you're willing to say, I've got to be done here. This isn't working. This isn't the right thing. And I have to step back and let you go. Be free to be you. No judgment here. I'm just not willing to continue. That's a pretty powerful takeaway. 9 times out of 10, they may say, no, no, no. I really want you to help me. Now, what if it's a buyer on negotiating? Yeah, you can submit a lower offer if you choose, which means that you're then not likely to win the bid. Now, if you're not excited enough about this home to offer more, or if this is not the right home for you, then maybe we just shouldn't submit at all. Well, no, I like it. It is the right home for me. Then what we need to do is be more reasonable and proactive in the bid that we submit, or you're going to lose the home. That's a takeaway, right? Third party story. Very powerful. People want to learn from what people did well and succeeded, or what they did wrong, and that they can avoid making that same mistake. Very valuable. So gather a few of your own stories. You can borrow some of your friends' stories. You can borrow mine if you want to. So this is a very true story, and it became one of my, in my little backpack of third-party stories to use for years. So my very first sale ever, my husband had this couple, he went to school with both of them, and they ended up getting married very young. I think they were early 20s. They already had a baby, and they were looking to buy their first house, just a little tiny starter home in the city where they grew up. All good, right? Super fun, exciting. They were our friends, could show them houses. I can still see it in my mind, this adorable little yellow cottage, like a little cottage with honestly, a white picket fence, cute garden. Older lady owned it, little dated, but really sharp. They loved it. It was a couple blocks from her mom and dad. It was right in the neighborhood where they wanted to be. Loved it. So we get back to the office, and they said, we really like it, but wow, this is a huge decision. We have to go home tonight. We have to sleep on it. We have to think about it. We'll call you tomorrow. You know, and guys, they were my friends. I said, sure, that's fine, because I don't want to push them, right? If they don't want to do it, I don't want to make them do it. So they called me the next morning and they said, we love it. We want to go ahead with it. We want to buy it. Well, guess what had happened? It already sold. It sold early that morning. By the time I got to them and they got back to me, it was later in the day. We missed it. We lost it. Now, they did not blame me, but they probably should have. They didn't blame me, but they were so sad. Now, I did eventually find them a different house. I would love to tell you guys that the second house was better than the first. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was fine. The first one was amazing. They bought it and they actually still live there to this day. And I even saw them last weekend. And it was so weird, which is why I thought about this story today. They said to me, "You remember that first house? We drove by there the other day. It still looks so cute. We wish we would have bought that one." And you know what they said to me? "We wish you would have made us do it." Now, they don't really blame me, but I do blame myself. So, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this is a unique home. And I get that you really like it. I am fine with you going home to think about it. Take as much time as you need. What I need to ask you to consider, though, is how will you feel if by the time you're ready to make a decision, the home is sold out from under you? It might not happen. You do need to understand, though, it could happen, just like it happened to my friends. And in that moment, I decided I would never let that happen again. Now, I can't tell you to hurry up and buy it or make you buy it. What I can ask you to do is consider carefully the cost of waiting. My suggestion is, why don't we start the negotiations? It's going to take a minute to get this in front of the agent and the seller. Then, of course, we have our inspections and due diligence. I mean, I don't want you to do it if you're not truly interested, but if you're truly interested, why not take the first step? See, I've used that third-party story probably 1,000 times at least, and it works because they don't want to make a big mistake. Now, if there was only one close, period, that you took out of our session today, to me, it would be the assumptive close. And that starts with assumptive mindset. Like, I'm assuming in my mind that they're going to want to work with me. I'm assuming that I'm going to take that listing and everything I do and say follows that path. Now, not in an arrogant or condescending way, just in a positive, proactive way. You know, I'm booking the appointment on the phone. Mr. Seller, I am looking forward to getting together with you to talk about getting your home on the market and getting it sold for you. Now I'm at the home. You know, Mr. Seller, I am certain that when you review the plan I prepared for you, you're going to be very excited and we're going to get started and work together. See, it's not if, it's when. People, I read something, it's nothing to do with real estate, it's more psychological, that said 98% of the world prefer to follow a leader. So clearly, only 2% prefer to lead. When you are being graciously assumptive and they like you and your materials are stellar and your plan is good, see, it just makes it easy to fall right into step. So I won't say at the end of a listing appointment, "Well, what do you think? Do you want to choose me?" That's so weak. And it also puts a lot of pressure on them to make that decision. Instead, I just want to gently lead them. You know, for us to achieve the goal that you have in mind, here is what our next step is. And I just lead them. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, clearly you love the home. The pros outweigh the cons. For us to start the negotiation, here's what we need to do next. Now, They may stop me. They may say they're not ready. I have to ask more questions. I may have to start again. But if you were only going to choose one classic close to make your own, then in my mind, the assumptive close would be the one. It should be woven into everything that you do. So it's not if, it's when. Assume they will do what you ask. Assume they will choose you. When I list your home, as we work together, when you choose me as your agent. Now, this is an assumptive technique I always like to use on listing appointments. When I'm on the phone booking the appointment, I say, Mrs. Seller, could you do a favor for me if you have a moment? Just jot down on a piece of paper some of the things you most love and enjoy about your home. And be as detailed as you would like, because nobody better than you would know what's special. And I want to showcase that in all its glory and uniqueness. So if you'll write that down for me and have that ready when we get together, by the way, we would need to have an extra key that I would need to have, assuming you move forward and choose to sell the property. So could you just go ahead and have a key ready for me? So see, if I arrive at the home and I see that feature sheet and I see that key laying there, I'm golden, right, guys? Now, if it's not prepared, it just means I have to work a little bit harder. But when you ask them to take an action, you're assuming they're going to work with you, and they take that action, that's getting them one step closer. And then we simply say, now our next step is to simply sign the agreement. Guys, make it easy for them to work with you. The apology close. This is where you apologize to the client that perhaps your lack of clarity in your explanation of the opportunity has caused them not to realize that this is an action they need to take. Maybe this is an offer that comes in on your listing, and let's say it's full price, and your seller wants more. They're fantasizing that we're back in the day of 25 bids on every home. And you say, Mr. Seller, I really want to apologize to you that perhaps as we went to market, perhaps I did not do enough to educate and to inform you and help set a clear explanation of what the market conditions are today. Because you notice, if you look at the data, days on market are increasing. Many homes are having 1, 2, or even 3 price adjustments. You've only been on the market a week. Thanks to my marketing efforts and your lovely home, we have a full price offer. And in today's world, the first offer is the best. So I apologize if I didn't explain to you that we were not likely to see multiple bids. So what we need to do, if you want to sell your home, is we need to go ahead and sign the agreement with this buyer. Now, it could be for a buyer. I apologize if not fully explained market conditions. If I had been more thorough, I believe you'd be seeing the opportunity right now to take action. So before you decide not to take action, can we review a bit of data? Let's make sure we're making the right choice. So, Mr. Seller, I know you want to sell the home, and the fact that you're not comfortable signing the listing today, that tells me that there must be some unanswered questions or information I've neglected to provide. I apologize if I've not covered everything you need? May I ask, what's stopping us from moving forward today? How can I help? Right? So you can see why I said you want to watch this recording again, right? There's some great dialogue in here, and you may pick out one or two that are your favorite. I'd love it if you master them all. Major close on a minor issue. In this close, you're focusing on closing on a small point that's easier for them to make a decision on versus the big decision, right? So I'll give you an example. Mr. Buyer, did we want to ask the seller to furnish a home warranty as part of our negotiation? Oh, yeah, I would want the home warranty for sure. See, he hasn't even said he's going to make an offer yet, but based on what I notice that he likes and thinks about the property, I'm going to assume that he wants to move forward, and I'm going to ask that question. That's a minor point. That's the minor point. Do you want the home warranty? The major issue, which means then he wants to buy the home. So, Mrs. Seller, are you leaving the dining room chandelier as part of the items included in the listing agreement? I'm acting as if I'm already her agent, right? No, I don't want to. It's an antique. Great. Let me make a note of that on the paperwork. Then what I would need you to do is simply initial it and sign this very standard listing agreement so we can work together. This one, and Wendy, yes, you will get this recording. Just give it a day, okay? It has to kind of process and then it'll be right out to you. And then guys, run it through AI, Chat GPT, whatever, get the scripting, slice and dice it. Reduce it to the ridiculous. This one is where you take a monetary difference in what they want to do and what it actually costs to do it, and you break it down into a cost per month or a cost per day. So, Mr. Buyer, if you accept this counteroffer on the home that you love, yes, it's going to increase your monthly payment by $300 a month. Yes, it's going to do that. And I get it. That's a significant amount of money. When you break it down, though, it's really about $10 a day, which is kind of about the cost of a Starbucks coffee and a muffin. And I often notice that when you come to my office, you have a Starbucks coffee and a muffin. So here's the thought. What if you drank your coffee at home? Save the money and buy the house you want. And now another one you could even say in today's world, with your family of 4 or 5, Mr. Buyer, quite honestly, if you take your family out to just a normal dinner in a little bit nicer place, it wouldn't be too hard to spend $300, would it? So maybe instead of going to a fancy dinner, you have a fun barbecue in the backyard of your new home. So breaking it down to the per month, then the per day, and comparing it to something they could relate to. Would it be worth it to drink your coffee at home and purchase the home you love? I mean, seriously, guys, how much money do you think that Americans spend to buy their coffee out somewhere a year? It's crazy, right? It's crazy. So the ultimate close. So let's pretend, as we get close to wrapping up today, let's pretend that you have tried the Ben Franklin. And it made sense. There were more pros than cons. They like the house. You've tried the takeaway. You've tried the reduce it to ridiculous. So you've used multiple approaches and still they're being stubborn. Or maybe it's that seller. You've done your best and you've asked all the questions and you've tried to close them, and it's clear that you're the right agent, but they just aren't saying yes. Well, the ultimate close. The ultimate close is the one that you use when you've made every reasonable attempt to move them forward, and you are literally at your last opportunity to invite them to make a decision in that situation. This is when you would use this close. You know, Mr. Seller, at this point, you have interviewed and researched me thoroughly. You know everything you need to know about me to feel confident I can get your home sold. So at this point, you're either going to choose me or not choose me. And you actually, in NLP, you can go choose me or not choose me, because we don't want them to take that one, right? So let's do this. Let's sign the agreement. Let's work together. You know, Mr. Buyer, we've viewed many homes and we've thoroughly studied the market. This by far is the best property we found. So at this point, we either start the negotiations on this home or not. Let's start the negotiations so we can fight to win the home you love. So guys, I hope to just inspire you that for the rest of this year and the year ahead, skill up. Selling is an art, and done properly and well and with the right spirit and the right heart and the caring about people to achieve their goals, there is really no better calling, because without great salespeople, the world would not move forward as well or as easily. So you will get the recording. You don't have to do a thing. Just watch your inbox tomorrow. Let me know if you have questions about it. And if you're at a point where you feel a career in real estate is not exactly getting you where you want to be, and you need the help of a professional coach to achieve the best that you can be, scan that QR code. My team will reach out and get you set to speak to me, and we'll see. It'll either be a fit or not, and either one is fine. We'll still remain friends. All right, guys, have a great day, and we'll get this on the way to you very soon. Bye-bye.